Hello, I'm Pripyat, and now let's continue the theme of bloopers, flaws and mistakes of developers in different games in the field of weapons. This time we'll consider all three parts of Stalker at once. Imagine there won't be any bugs, but trust me, there are plenty of weapon bloopers. And now, let's get mentally prepared to find out all terrible secrets in Stalker. Firstly, I have to commend the Stalker series. These games have several advantages in the field of similarity to realism in comparison to most of peers, and even some modern games can boast of that. For example, Counter-Strike 2. Firstly, most games don't have ballistics. Even this game treats the bullets as an object with own mass and speed, and defies gravity. This concept was created in the early 2000s, and even first part of Stalker had proper ballistics. Bullets often ricochet in reality, and even this was properly realized in Stalker's Shadow of Chernobyl. Also, they took into account that the real shooter prefer aim by eyesight, but not a crosshair on the screen. It gives more accuracy at least. Actually, a lot of games don't have this feature. Also, I have to comment the feature with different shells for each weapon. And of course, it has different properties. And what really surprised me, the frag effect, which is extremely close to reality. Grenade damage usually counts in games very simply. It depends on the distance between grenade and you. But in fact, grenade is a roulette. You can stand 5 meters away from it and you can survive unharmed, except a hearing loss. Or you can stand 100 meters away and get the frag into eye from F1. So stupid but real death. We have this effect in Shadow of Chernobyl, but it's a little unfinished. There is an interesting point that's almost nowhere to be found. Developers took into account two variants of reloading. First, when we are out of ammo, pistol takes shutter lock condition. The shutter is staying back and pistol is reloading in that condition. But if you reload after one shot, shutter is in the normal condition while reloading. Now go to flaws. As in almost all games, there is no process of magazine loading by cartridges. Looks like you always have assistant following you, who constantly do this instead of you. Well, we have 24 cartridges in reserve with these 3 full magazines. Let's spend more ammo. Look at this now, we have now only 1 full magazine. One more fact of life, constant cocking of ball doesn't lead to anything good. I mean, every time when you pull weapon. In order to make a weapon ready to fire, you have to do it once only. The rest all lead to the same outcome. And how to fight after that? Next fact. Almost no one game takes into account it, and Stalker is not an exception. When we have pistol and bolt delay, it cannot snap in this condition technically. While shooting, I listen some anecdotes. What's wrong? The loudness of shot of this game was, to put it mildly, downgraded. In reality, you'll only hear other shots. I guess it's no secret that we have changed names of guns in Stalker. I just must say about this here. But they took it humorously. For example, look at this rifle. They called this IL-28. I wonder, did they know that it's a passenger aircraft? Or Black Hawk in the Russian version of game is a helicopter. I have created a list of weapons of Stalker series. Names according to developers and its real names. They are not very imaginative. What would you rename a s.t.a.l.k.e.r? Of course, s.t.a.l.k.e.r. They did so to avoid authorial responsibility. Okay, you can pause it and read if you want, and we are moving on. Almost all games of Stalker are just symmetrical. Left and right sides are same. In fact, there are almost no weapons with the same sides. They could reflect the inscriptions properly at least. By the way, the right side of the weapon was copied. Why they did it? In order to get the casings in your eyes or mouth, because it's fun. And what about shotgun cartridges? It's wrong. It was labeled as here in whole game 12x70. Yes, many cartridges are labeled as multiplication of dimensions, for example width by height, but if 70 is a length of casing, the 12 is not even a dimension. That is idiotic standard globally accepted, but smaller number, larger cartridge. Correct designation is made by /sign or space at least. You know, developers went overboard with the accuracy and power of most of weapons. AKSU is combined but a rifle and uses rifle ammo, but it cannot hit aimingly even from 10 meters. It's a nonsense. This round penetrates armor very well, but you cannot kill mercenary if you put half a clip in him. And I have my large complaints about the balance of power and accuracy between weapons. Let's compare two pistols, Colt and USP. It uses the same cartridges. Colt has a longer barrel, but USP is almost twice as powerful. How can it be? And for example, this shooting aircraft, cheapest rifle on 5.56 caliber in game. Let's compare it with FN, one of the most powerful weapons in game. But who said that it's more powerful? Both have bullpup system, but this magazine in that butt, and L85 has longer barrel. But they solved this problem in Clear Sky, partially. At least tried to do this, but overdid it. AK rifle became more powerful than LR300, which is on a larger caliber. Remark to Shadow Chernobyl, bolts of some guns move too slowly while shooting. In reality, they are jacked away at breakneck speed, but in next parts of game it's closer to the truth. But sometimes they did something worse in next parts. That is two variant system I praised in Shadow Chernobyl. Now the bolts are in the forward position constantly while reloading. If we look closely, the pistol hammers are immobile in Shadow of Chernobyl. That is, those things that stick out the back. But in reality, they are directly involved in the process of shot. But it became mobile in Call of Pripyat, but it's still working wrongly. This flaw is only inherent in Clear Sky. Aiming by sights doesn't work properly on pistols. But I think the problem is that he's closing the wrong eye. Now go to the individual guns. PB. It has a blooper, but in Clear Sky only. It has gunfire flash, which is visible through sunlight. How could this be lowered? A silencer dampens the flame. Even Shadow of Chernobyl doesn't have this problem. Walter, or Walker. Its problem is that it has no case extractor window. It doesn't look good. It was solved in next parts. SIP! Damn SIG! P220. In fact, it has 7 rounds, and they knew it in Call of Pripyat. But in Clear Sky, they decided to stand out and make 10 rounds. UDP Compact. After cracking an ingenious cipher of developers, it became clear that this USP Compact. It really holds 8 rounds only. By the way, we can read the model name on the body of the gun in Clear Sky. But few people think about that this model cannot attach a silencer. For this purpose, there is a model named USP Tactical with 12 rounds and threaded part of barrel for silencer. You can find this model in Counter-Strike. We tried to solve this problem in Call of Pripyat and put 12 rounds in the gun, but it didn't become tactical. Desert Eagle, the most brutal gun of all time. No, it's not. Of games and movies. And what's wrong with this in Stalker? It's powered by ammo from USP. Only these cartridges can be used in Desert Eagle. We know that it holds 8 rounds only, so it has to be the middle one. But this one was charged by developers in that pistol. Doesn't look like much, does it? One more similar flaw. Sawed-off shotgun, BM16. First of all, BM16 shotgun has 16 gauge. Stalker series have not these cartridges at all. And you cannot put a 12 gauge in this gun. Also, if you look closer, you can see that it ejects not casings, but cartridges. One more thing, you have to pull the lever to start reloading, and it's marvelously shown in Shadow of Chernobyl. But they forgot it in next parts for some reason. Chaser 13, as the developers said. It is believed that the prototype of this gun is Winchester 1300, but it's not. We can read the inscriptions on the body of gun in Clear Sky and Call of Pripyat. Model 88, Maverick. It turns out that this is Mossberg 88 Maverick Cruise version, perhaps too long name for game. And what about bloopers? As with many shotguns in many games, it doesn't move the forend after reloading. So the gun is not ready to fire, but we hear the sound of this. Also they added one cartridge more in Call of Pripyat. That's so generous. s.t.a.l.k.e.r is the one automatic shotgun in the series. But only in Shadow of Chernobyl. Next parts have not automatic mode at all, and you always move the forend. Eliminator, or in Earth language, Protector. What a feature of this gun! It has so large, so amazing, incredible time of fucking reloading. But in fact, the time is even longer, because in order to shoot you must spin by one cartridge. To do so you must turn the handle. After each shot you must turn the handle. Moreover, last casing must be thrown out manually. So this gun has dubious enough efficiency in real world, but brutal look. MP5 is the one machine pistol in series. What's wrong? First of all, they are all colored black. We can read the inscription MP5K-N, but the shape of the gun doesn't match. Also, if we can attach the silencer, we have MP5N. But we have one mismatch more. This model doesn't have 3-shot burst firing mode, and especially 2-shot, but the game has it. AKS-74U. Yes, it's for you. Few people think about that the color of forend of this gun should look like wood, even in modern variants. They forgot this in Shadow of Chernobyl, remember it in Clear Sky, but partially, because it has old icon. And it was fully solved in Call of Pripyat. It took so many years and versions of games to change the color of gun. Abacan EN94. It is extremely rare and expensive assault rifle in reality, because it has very complex mechanism. Moreover, it was discontinued and very few units produced. The main feature of this rifle, ability to do double shot. At the time of producing, it cost as 6 AK rifles, but now due to rarity it costs much more. But it didn't stop them from arming almost every second NPC of game. Meanwhile, well spread in the world, German rifle costs 7 times more here. The game has a lot of flaws regarding this rifle. Let's start with appearance. We see the classic muzzle brake from AK. In fact, it has another one. It looks like snail, its specialty. In fact, magazine tilted to the right due to construction feature. Developers of Stalker didn't take it into account, of course. Now about the double shot. Stalker has it, but it looks like usual burst. Few people know that couple of s.t.a.l.k.e.r occurs differently. Real firing rate of s.t.a.l.k.e.r in case of double shot 30 shots per second, so these two shots kind of blend into each other. In case of automatic mode, first two shots are double too. Then usual fire, as from AK, and it wasn't realized in game series 2. Okay, they made moving barrel at least, and it's correct. But it's moving as one with bolt, and that's incorrect. Here we see that the movement of bolt is more active than barrel slide. But next part solved the problem by welding barrel to receiver. What remarks to s.t.a.l.k.e.r 300? First of all, this rifle is not so spreaded as for example M4 or AR, so why this game specially contains only this model among whole M16 family. Next, after full discharge of any of these guns, we have a bolt delay and we don't need to move it after reloading. All we have to do is release it by pushing button. What about silencer? Yes, we can attach it, but why the only silencer in game can be attached on any gun? There are a lot of different models and types of mounting. Also, this model of rifle doesn't have free shot burst mode. By the way, this mode doesn't allow to stop burst on second shot. But SIG rifle must have this mode. It turns out they switched rifles. Interesting fact, G36 has transparent magazine and we can see remaining cartridges. But we have small problem, quantity of cartridges remains the same. FN 2000's zero spin, but how can it shoot if it doesn't have a trigger? And don't say me about this trigger, it's for grenade gun. The fact that has nothing to do with reality. Some under-barrel grenades glow in flight. The same about second variant of Vogue. Developers didn't change the names for under-barrel grenade guns and grenades. Except this one, I think they did it accidentally. M209 grenade, real name of this thing M406. In addition, they are lying to all of us. Weight of these grenades is not 80 grams, but over 200 grams each. You know, you can make long-range shot with these grenades in Shadow of Chernobyl. You can even shoot so you don't see the explosion. And that's right. But in next parts they decided to reconsider this moment. They decided that this looks better. Jesus. Unfortunately, RG6 grenade gun in Shadow of Chernobyl doesn't reload properly. At least something good here. Correct reloading. Machine gun PKM. The developers are so hardened stalkers that they reload this gun without lifting cover. And how it's done on our planet. Some bloopers about our PG-7 grenade gun. I can ask, what is it? You say OG-7V missile, but I say no. This is what OG-7V looks like in reality. And it weighs a lot more than 1 kilogram, as we see here. The true name of this PG-7VL, and its weight is 2.6 kilograms. In next part they added 1 kilogram more, but it's still not enough. You know, a man who's ever shot from this grenade gun, or see the shot at least, if make a shot in Stalker, he'll immediately go throw up. Why? Because it's difficult to find something matches with reality. Grenade doesn't have enough speed, engine walks less than a second, in fact. But here we see constantly walking engine, and since I like to take the exam from different games, grenade shot towards sky. After 20 seconds. Oh, I see it. Bad grade. The engine is been walking whole time, and it was supposed to explode after 6 seconds in the sky. What I did? I changed several parameters in the one config file. Eventually I've got true grenade gun, with normal speed and engine. And with self-liquidation after 6 seconds. We have 170 meters away from that building. The original grenade would fly for 4 seconds. Okay, let's retake. The grenade didn't come back. It exploded after 6 seconds in the sky, which I checked it out by the demo record. Okay, good grade. G.A.R.'s gun is a fantastic gun, and it's not quite right to consider it in this video. Although I can indicate some bloopers. Shadow of Chernobyl. Description of this gun say that it is noiseless, but it doesn't match the shots in game. And we cannot find such a description in next parts of game. One more interesting fact. Clear Sky and Call of Pripyat have different reloading of this gun. We reload only half of magazine. Looks like the rest of magazine is battery, but ammo icon still includes full magazine. A few words about grenades. The Shadow of Chernobyl is roughly good, but Clear Sky and Call of Pripyat. Grenades cannot damage you even from 7 meters, but we know that damage radius of grenade RGD5 is 25 meters, not to mention F1. Let me say about weight again. It had real weight in Shadow of Chernobyl, over 600 grams, but here we see 300 grams of both grenades. Smoke grenade from Stalker Online. First of all, such a grenade according to this view does not exist. It just should have different shape at least. It rather looks like some training unknown grenade. Also, real smoke should be much denser and doesn't burn like fireworks. Okay, I have finished my monologue. It was a long video, but that is Stalker. It was born to delight us with huge amount of bugs and flaws and eventually content of this channel. Thanks for watching and goodbye.